Welcome back. We left off last time talking about the unit circle, and we said that we know the angles in quadrants. I don't like that last one. Let's redo that. We know quadrants 1 and 2, these special angles inside of them. So we said that this is pi over 2, and this is pi, right? And this is 3 pi over 2. And it's all based on the special angles in the first quadrant. This is quadrant 1 out here, right? This is quadrant 2. And today we will work on quadrant 3. And we said that if we have an angle that bisects the 90-degree angle in the first quadrant, that would be equivalent to pi over 4. But instead, if we divided from 0 to pi over 2 into 3 equal slices, we said instead that this would be pi over 6. And we add another slice to that, and that's pi over 3. All of this in radians. So these 3 angles in the first quadrant, pi over 6, pi over 3, and pi over 4, we can add pi units to them and get a reflection about the x-axis instead of the y-axis, right? And we're going to figure out what those measurements are in radians right now. Just knowing that these starting points, pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3, and we're going to add pi radians to that to come up with our radian measurements of the special angles in the third quadrant. All right? And so now we think about it. The first angle, pi over 6. We start with pi over 6, and we're going to add to it pi. So to get the stuff in the second quadrant, we added pi over 2, 90 degrees. Now we're adding a full 180, aka pi radians. But we have the same problem again where the denominators are different, so we convert it to sixths. Pi over 6 stays the same, but now we're going to say 6 pi over 6, right? Because 6's would cancel and we'd be left with pi, so we're allowed to do that. We multiplied numerator and denominator of the second term by 6. Now when we add this, right, we're going to get what? We're going to get 7 pi over 6, right? 1 pi over 6 plus 6 more pi over 6 is 7 pi over 6. And so this is 7 pi over 6. Likewise, if we start with pi over 4 radians, that's this measurement here, and we add to it pi units of radians, then we can convert. This is pi over 4 plus 4 pi over 4, which leaves us with 5 pi over 4. This angle here is 5 pi over 4. That means from the starting side on the x-axis all the way over to there is beyond 180 degrees, is beyond pi degrees, and 5 pi over 4 is in fact a measurement greater than pi degrees, pi radians, excuse me. So the last one we're going to worry about for quadrant 3 has to do, we'll start with quadrant 1, the pi over 3, and we'll add to that pi units, right? Pi over 3 plus pi units to give us that angle. So we can't do it because it's in thirds. So we write the given pi over 3, and we convert this pi units to thirds. This is 3 pi over 3. Now we have same denominator, and we can add the numerators. 4 pi over 3. And so that is this one. And the box looks a little small, so let me just erase it. I'll say 4 pi over 3. Okay? And so in terms of degrees, we started with 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. So to sum that, we sum it with 180. So 30 plus 180 is 210 degrees. 45 plus 180 is going to be 225. And finally, 180 summed with 60 is going to give us 240. So this angle here is 240 degrees, is equivalent to 4 pi over 3 radians. 225 degrees is equivalent to 5 pi over 4 radians. 210 degrees is equivalent to 7 pi over 6 radians. And of course, 3 pi over 2 radians is equivalent to 270 degrees. Thank you for watching.